request for a review through whether it was a photographer that I had hired or home staging. And I go through the steps to submit a review for them. And then I hear crickets, and I get nothing from them. Not that I'm expecting to receive anything from them, but a thank you would be nice. Acknowledge the fact that your clients are taking time out of their day to help you grow and build your business with a good review. If it was a bad review, well, we don't like them anymore. They can't sit with us. All right. So the next step in here is to add them to the My Monthly Neighborhood Nurture. So going back, I actually like this. I wanted to go back to this text. So after they've submitted their review, it's going to send this text. Hey, contact first name. Thanks for the awesome review. I've sent you a small gift of appreciation. Also, I'm setting you up on a custom update plan for your neighborhood. This will come one time per month, and you'll be able to see updated sales to stay aware of your new home sale value, your new home's value. Let me know if you ever want me to stop or change it. I can add other neighborhoods too. It'll come to your email. Thanks again. So why would it be, if they've just purchased a home, why is it a good idea to put them on a neighborhood nurture?
They may have family or friends that are looking to buy or sell.
Bingo. Or maybe they've moved into a really nice neighborhood and they've got their friends and family are like, oh my gosh, this neighborhood's so awesome. I want to live by you. Or so you're all fairly new. You may have heard this before, but what's the average number of years a person stays in a home?
5 to 7.
Right. And one of the ways that you can build your business over time is by setting up and creating clients that are going to be your lifetime clients. And that means once you've closed that transaction, you stay in touch with them. Maybe not quite as aggressive as when you were trying to get them when they were a lead or a potential client. But now that you've provided them with that service and they've been your client, you want to continue to grow that relationship. And there are a number of ways to do that. The DTD2 is an excellent way to stay in touch with your sphere on a more relaxed basis. It touches them a couple times per year, setting them up on a monthly neighborhood nurture. Now you're going to add another 12 touches. Your major holidays, you're going to add a few more touches, birthdays and home anniversaries. Do all of that, and you're going to stay in a constant contact with them. So that way, when those 5 years come up, those 7 years come up, you're going to be the first person they think of when they want to make that next move. All right. So any questions on the SMART plan? Now, in previous classes, did they go into a deep dive on how to build your own SMART plan? Or do we need to talk about that for a moment?
Talk about it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go back. So if you want to create your own SMART plan, it's really easy to do. You're going to click on create and you're going to put in a SMART plan name. All right. So from here, you're going to pick your first step. What would you like to be your, whoops. What would you like your first step to be?
Send email.
All right, perfect. That's actually a great example. So the first thing you're going to do is drag it over and drop your step. So now, when you drop a step over here in the middle, on the right-hand side, you're going to get your edit panel. And the edit panel is going to look a little different depending on what type of step it is, but it's going to be on the right side, and that's where you're going to change it. Did you have a question, Cindy?
Mm-mm. No,
Okay.
I've got it on my other screen.
Okay, awesome. All right, so when you're at this step, and this is one thing I like to point out on the email, you can either do a simple email or you can do designs. If you've gone into designs first and created an email template, then that template's going to be available. You can click on select design and you would see it right here on your dashboard. I didn't have any created in this tester account, so we're going to do just a simple one. Okay. So let's say, hello, hi, and if you're going to use a smart plan, you want to make it custom, or you want to make it to where it's kind of form filled in a way, so that way it will work for every contact that it comes into the that you assign to it. So instead of saying hi Sally, I'm going to say hi. I'm going to click the merge tag right here, and I'm going to find contact.first.name. So now it's going to say hi person, the contact's name, put a comma and a space. I just wanted to say hi. And if you want, you can add a hyperlink in there. It's going to show your reply to email, which will be set for your settings in your settings under command.
Okay.
And then you add that step. So then we're going to add, let's say, another step. Let's say the next one, we want to send a text. Oh, sorry, we've got to add a day. Now I can send a text. I'm going to drop that in there. And maybe I didn't want to wait one day. I wanted to wait a couple days. We'll take a look at that. All right, so coming over here on the send text step, you have two options. If you've signed up for Twilio, which is the automated service that we use to send text out through command, you're just going to set it to send an automated text. If you're not using that service yet, you can opt it to create a touch task instead. So it's still going to be a task. It's not an actual text that's going out, but more of a reminder and a template. But I'm going to set it up and pretend that I have connected Twilio. And just like email, you want to access and use your merge tags. So I'm going to say hi. I'll come down here, click the add merge tag, contact first name. This is, and then I'm going to click the merge tag again. I'm going to say agent first name. Oops. I just wanted to check in. All right. One thing I like to point out when you're using the merge tags is make sure that if it's something that would have a space after it, you need to put that space in there. So for example, if let's check in. So let's say I wanted to say this is agent first name with Keller Williams. If I typed it like that, there's no space. When they receive that text, it's going to have your first name butted right up with the word with. So you need to make sure you put your spaces in after the merge tag if it's applicable. I'm going to add that step. But remember, I said maybe we wanted to adjust that. We didn't want to wait 2 days. Maybe I wanted to wait a week. Oops. Okay, it's not letting me do that.
How did you get to that?
I scrolled down. So I
Oh,
don't think it's going to let me save because I do not have the Twilio account connected. So I'm going to cancel this. Actually, I'm going to change it to create a task. Send
okay.
a text to check in.
Oh,
And since it's a task, you can set how much time you have to do it. Now, in this example, I would want to make sure that because I'm going to might have some other steps, I want to set this for the same day. So I want to make sure that I'm doing this step on the day that I'm setting it to be done and not giving myself a couple more days to do it, because then I'm going to overlap with possibly with my next step. I'm going to click add step, and I've added that in. Oops. All right. And then to adjust the number of days between, it's now letting me click. So I'm going to click here. And maybe I wanted to wait a week after I send the email. So now I've created the email. It's going to go out on day 1, and then it's going to wait 7 days. And on day 8, it's going to send the text. And then you can build out the rest of your smart plan. They're going to be similar to that.
okay.
One nice feature that I do like is, let me add another step. You can add them to another smart plan. So maybe at the end of this particular smart plan, you want it to automatically trigger the next smart plan, which is what we saw in the closing smart plan that we downloaded and looked at. The very last step was to automatically add them to that neighborhood nurture. So the way that would flow in this instance, I'm going to select the smart plan. Okay. Now, the way this particular smart plan would flow is, once you assign it on day 1, it's going to send them that email. It's going to say, hello, hi, contact first name. I just wanted to say hi. It's going to wait 7 days. And then on day 8, it's going to send them a text. And then it's going to wait 1 more day. And on day 9, it's going to automatically add them to the My Neighborhood Nurture Smart Plan. Any questions before we move on? Awesome. Close out of here. All right. All right, so the next thing I wanted to go over, and we are jumping around a little bit because we're at the end of your transaction. There's a whole bunch of different things to look at. So let's take a look at how you can make the actual transaction flow a little bit easier. Bring this up here. All right. So you should all now see a different browser with a black header up at the top and the opportunity for Bull Moose Drive. Is that what we're seeing?
Yep.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so I have DocuSign connected. That's what we use here in my market center and in most of Arizona. So I'm going to click on my opportunity. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with a brand new opportunity, because this part's important. I'm creating a brand new opportunity. All right. So in order to get the best use out of DocuSign, first and foremost, you want to keep this detail tab of your opportunity as up to date as possible. Anytime you get new information, you're going to come in here and you're going to update it. And then you'll see an option to sync that over to DocuSign. So let's click on here, see if there's anything we can update. Say, not yet. We're going to be talking about these other fields here in just a little bit. Here's a good one. So this is going to be a listing side. Let's say we are going to be selling South 7th place. So we've got our property address. Let's see, key dates. We don't have any of this information yet. All right, that's as much information as we have at the moment for this particular opportunity. So now we're going to come over to documents. From here, and if you want to get the most out of DocuSign, this is the most important step. Before you click this button, start a transaction, you need to come over here and pick your checklist type. So for me, it's a residential listing. Now, what you see next is your compliance folders. Hopefully in previous classes, you've gone over what these mean. For my particular market center, you're going to see that we have some of these folders have a green DS next to them. Some of them do not. By any chance, does anyone know what this indicates?
That it's a DocuSign?
Close, close. No. All right. So what this means is that your market center leadership team, probably your broker, maybe your tech person, took a really awesome step and linked this is a folder. These are basically just empty file folders that you can then come along and drop your file in to send to your broker for a compliance check. What this green DS means is that they have automatically linked the actual form in DocuSign. So when you begin your transaction, all of these particular files should automatically be in your DocuSign room. So we're going to click on Start a Transaction. Oh. Well,
You are not who you say you are.
there we go. Sorry about that. I got divorced last year and I changed my email and I couldn't remember which email I had on DocuSign. All right, so let's just super quick, let's jump over here. We've got residential listing agreement. Let's go back to DocuSign. Look at that. Oh, look, residential listing contract. Let's see what else is in here. Residential profile. Well, that's going to come from your MLS. Agency disclosure. Well, let's see. Agency disclosure right there. Awesome. Let's find one more. In my office, we have an ABA with our title company next door, and we have to have that in every file. So let's see if that's in there. Voila, it's right there. So just the simple act. If your market center has gone through the steps to link the actual files, that's why it's so important to make sure that you select your listing type first before you click on begin transaction. Now, once you're back over into DocuSign, you want to keep your details tab up to date as much as possible. The more information you have in here, the more that will transcribe over into your documents. All right. Now, I could go on forever and ever and ever with DocuSign. I don't know how much you've learned in your previous classes, so I'm gonna try not to dive too deep and repeat information that we've already heard. So I'm gonna show you a couple of things that I like to do that makes using DocuSign a little bit easier. Every time you send out a document for a signature or a group of documents for a signature, when it comes back, you're going to get a green copy. It'll be a little form in here. It'll be green. That means that it's been signed. You're going to get all of those green copies. And then you're also going to get a certification for that particular envelope. And that certification is what makes the electronic signature legal. So let me come over and show you one of my existing opportunities. Let's see if I did what I'm telling you to do. We go to transaction. Perfect. So what I like to do, I like to create folders inside of DocuSign. So this is the room, our DocuSign room that we just created. So I'm going to come over here to actions, and I'm going to create a couple of folders. I like to create a folder for my certifications. Why is it being fussy with me tonight? There we go. I like to create a folder for my consultation docs. And this could be applicable whether you're on the list side or the buy side. If you're on the buyer side, it's going to be your buyer broker agreement, your fair housing, all of the various forms you might need. On the listing side, it's going to be the same set of forms, but instead of the buyer broker, it's going to be your listing agreement. And let's see, I'm going to do another one. I also like to have an under contract or executed docs, either one. I've started using under contract instead of executed just because executed sounds weird. All right, so when you get those files back and they've been signed, then you can just drag them up to to whichever folder they need to be in. And it just helps to keep your documents a little more organized. Now I'm going to come over here to my existing documents, my existing rooms. Oh, I don't have any. Something else I like to do, let me see if I can find a closed opportunity. All right, let's see. 623 South Roosevelt. Let's see if I did it. Okay. So this is actually my very first listing that I sold. And back then I wasn't quite as organized as what I'm telling you to be now, but I wanted to show you this one because it shows that the differences between the PDF signed documents, and your forms, so your blank forms. But what I like to do once I've created or once I've gotten that document back and it's been signed by your client, first of all, you're going to go in, you're going to double check everything, make sure it's good to go. And if this is your final version of this particular document, what I like to do is rename it. Which document was that? Additional clause. And that is my simple way to tell myself when I look at this file that this document is done. I've double checked it. It's ready to be submitted. It doesn't need anything else. That's over with. So that's one tip I would give you. Another tip I would give you, and that's helpful when you are renaming those. If you have a lot of files, actually, you know what? I take that back. That I changed what I was going to say, but ignore that. All right. So, any questions about DocuSign on how to use it to make it a little more effective for yourself? Okay. All right. Now let's move over to all right. So when we were looking at the details tab, I said it was really important to make sure that you keep your details tab of your opportunity up to date. But there's a little more to it than that. So let's click on here. Let's go into my listing. All right. So here are your key dates. So as you're getting these dates set, so maybe you know that you've scheduled your photographer for Saturday. And maybe you're going to do staging on the 27th. And you're going to go live on July 4th. Your list date is going to be when your contract started. So let's say maybe you signed your contract on Monday. Your expiration date, maybe you set that for 6 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's your listing expiration date. Mutual acceptance is when you had a contract agreed upon. So you go under contract. Your home inspection date. This one you could set it for the actual day that it's due, or you could actually, I've played with this idea back and forth, and sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. It just depends on your business model, to be honest. But what you could do is set this for your inspection period. Here in Arizona, we have a 10-day inspection period. So it's really helpful to know, keep track of when is that inspection period done. But then you can click save and you now have a bunch more information. If I had done that with my other opportunity, let's do that over here. Oops. All right, so you notice as I'm scrolling down on this is an actual live opportunity. I have a listing. All of these items say that they're synced. That means this is all gone over and pushed over to DocuSign. So my estimated close date, there's been an edit to it and I have not synced. So let me go in and see if I can update anything. All right, so we are currently in the showing stage. Estimated close date is, have not gotten the contract. I'm gonna hope we get a contract by the end of the month. And let's say it takes 30 days to close. So I'm gonna set my estimated close date to the 31st of July. not closed yet. We do not have an active contract. None of this has changed. I've got my target live dates when I went live, when it was listed, when it's going to expire. All right, so I'm gonna hit save. And look at that. Oh, no, that wasn't the right one. So it still says edited. So I'm gonna come down here, see if there's anything else that can be updated. All right, so I've got everything updated. I'm gonna hit sync transaction and hit update. And now the estimated close date has synced over to DocuSign. So Command gives you some, it seems like it's a tedious thing of just filling in dates that you already know in the back of your head, but there's a purpose for it. And the purpose is to, one, keep you on track and make sure that you don't miss any important milestones through your transaction. But two, it sends that information over to DocuSign so that way when you create your next file or work on your next form, that information might automatically populate onto the form for you and save you some typing. All right. So we've got a few minutes to kind of talk over and think about what type of things might you want to have in your closing smart plan. What might be useful? All right, Cindy, give me one thing that might be useful in a closing smart plan.
Shoot. See, now I can't think.
That's okay. That's what we're here to do, is to get your brain moving around the concepts of your closing.
In this, so in the part, in this part of it, or
Well, just in general, just
the
kind of
whole-
mapping out as you're approaching close, what are the tasks that you might want to automate or make sure that you don't skip?
well, that would be like, if you're on the buyer side knowing about the inspections, those dates, when they're gonna come out, because you
Okay,
should be there.
absolutely. So inspections, that's one.
Uh,
And since we don't have a lot of people chiming in, I'm going to pick somebody. Hillary, what do you think might be useful to have in your end of closing time? Appraisal. Well, actually, you're at the closing, so your appraisal's already been done. I like the way you're thinking. That would be more applicable towards maybe one of the steps inside of smart plans, inside of your opportunities.
I got one.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
How about for buyer side? How about I'm sorry, how about for seller side? How about a move out checklist? Make sure that you got everything in.
Yeah,
Or buyer side, make sure you got both sides, make sure you got services started and started, stopped and started.
that is an excellent suggestion, Brian. And that's something that we all tend to forget, is that just because they've closed on their house today, they've still got stuff to do. Did they get their utilities set up? Did they get their packing, their movers arranged? Do they need any immediate maintenance at the house? There's a whole slew of things that you can remind your clients, buyer or seller, to do at the day of closing. Let's get one more. How about Christine? Another good one. Bring your ID. Good one, Brian. How about something that starts with an R?
Referrals?
Yes, ask for referrals. Let's do one more. Something that begins with an R. Yes, Nicole, review. Excellent. Excellent. That's what I was looking for. So those are some things that are really important as you're going through your close to make sure that you're asking for. You're asking for your referrals. You're asking them to write a review for you. You're following up with them. You're setting them up on some sort of continuing touch. Another thing that might be important is going into their contact card and updating their home anniversary date. So let's say I'm going to go jump over here to my pretend client, Fred Flintstone. Let's say Fred closed on his new house today. So I'm going to go to contacts. I'm going to click on edit. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click on add more information. And under about, there's a home anniversary date. So I'm going to put that in here for June. What's today? The 27th. Sorry, pardon me, I've got the hiccups. What year is this? 2024. Perfect. Now, you've added their closing or their home anniversary date to their contact card. Guess what? There's a smart plan for that. So let's go back over to smart plans really quick. We're going to go to the library. And when you just go to the library, you're not searching for anything. The first section is featured. And then you scroll down, and then there are 10 smart plans that were created by Keller Williams International. And let's get over here. I want to look for home anniversary. So I'm going to click add and then download. Go to my smart plans. And let's just take a quick look at those steps. There's just 2 steps. The first one is a touch task to send them some sort of a gift, or maybe it's just a card or a note. And then on day 7, the actual day of, make a phone call to them. So then when you assign that smart plan, and this is one thing that I love about Command, there are 2 fields inside of your contact card that will auto trigger a smart plan. One is the home anniversary field. The other is the birthday field. So if you download the KWRI birthday smart plan and the KWRI home anniversary smart plan and set those up, you can do a little bit of editing, not too much. You can change the verbiage of the text, the tweets that go out, the texts that go out. But otherwise, you just add them to that smart plan, and on those dates, those smart plans will automatically trigger. Now, here's the catch. If you went in and you thought, oh, you know what, that birthday smart plan is awesome, but I wanted to do a whole bunch of other things, and you built out your own birthday smart plan, you could still use it, but you're going to have to manually set the day for when that smart plan triggers. It will not auto trigger based off of what's in that contact card. Only those 2 smart plans from KWRI at this time have that ability. All right. So we've talked about DocuSign and some things that can make the transaction process a little bit easier. We've talked about your smart plans, how you can create a smart plan to follow up with your closing. When you were going through and I know I'm going to go over here. did they, in your previous classes, when they were talking about opportunities, did they go over creating the tasks inside of opportunities?
I don't remember that.
Okay. So just real super quick, when you come in
Last
here,
night he did.
they did? Okay,
Did
awesome.
they?
So
Last
just
night.
for just a quick reminder, when you come into your pipeline, you have to go stage by stage. So let's say under here, you wanted to add some checklists. You just click on checklists. And then here, you can click on where it says 0 of 0 items, click that link, and then it's going to let you add tasks. And it's actually kind of cool because if you have the same flow for every single client, it keeps you on track. It avoids any issues of, well, you did this for this client, you didn't do it for that client. Are you discriminating? It keeps you uniformed. But it makes it really nice because you can do things like create, let's go over to my smartphones. All right, so let's take a look at some of the things that I have for a checklist. So when I'm under pre-listing, I have 11 things on my checklist. Did I get a copy of the key from the seller? Did I place a lockbox on the property? Did I schedule the photographer? Did I order the signpost? Do I need a coming soon rider? It goes on and on. You can even set these to automatically notify the client when those items have been checked off. So for me, I want to make sure that when I schedule or I put the lockbox on the property, I automatically send the client an email that says, hey, by the way, I just put a lockbox on your house. Or, hey, by the way, I've got the photographer scheduled for this date. So that's another great way to keep yourself on track and be super organized in your transaction process. All right. So let's see, I think we've covered everything we needed to for the moment. We went over smart plans, DocuSign, talked about keeping your details tab up to date, and then over on the DocuSign side, keeping the details tab up to date. And we talked about some of the things that might be really important to have in your smart plan. So now let's take a quick 10-minute break. Well, actually, let's back up. Any questions over what we've covered so far? No? All right. So let's take a quick 10-minute break. I'll see everybody back at 7:12.
Oh, it's already been an hour.
What's that?
I said, wow, it's already been an hour.
I know.
It went by
And-
fast.
And I was worried that I wouldn't have enough content. And as usual, I'm just talking way too much.
Hey, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Awesome. All right. So I'll see you all back at 7:12.
Back.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. It is 7:13. We'll give everybody just one more minute to get in since most people are not on camera, so I can't tell who's actually here. Awesome, Bernardo. And Brian, welcome. So how's Yuma? I'm up here in Phoenix, the Phoenix metro area.
It's hot just like you over there.
What's that?
It's the same heat as you got over there.
See, I always thought it was a little bit hotter in Yuma.
I think today was high was like 109 maybe.
Ugh, I'm not ready for it. I'm just not ready for it this year.
Come visit San Diego.
What's that?
Come visit San Diego.
Oh, you're in San Diego? Which market center are you in?
San Diego Metro.
Who's your OP?
Of course. I'm new, so well, sort of new. I know Broker Bob. He's the managing broker. Who else? Man, I'm learning the names. You put me on the
Okay.
spot.
Gotcha. So my market center was recently purchased by Cody Gibson, who, if most of you are new, might not have heard his name yet, but he's I think he's now vice president of Maps. He's been a bold coach forever. He was actually my first bold coach. Just high energy, highly intelligent, younger guy. And I know that he owns 2 market centers in San Diego. So I was just curious if maybe that was if you were in one of his, we would be in sister companies then.
I'll find out, and of course, I need to find out. Of course. Thanks. Ready.
All right. So let's jump back in. We've got a couple of things that we're going to cover for the rest of the last hour. We're going to look at utilizing the goals applet to set your long-term career goals, annual sales goals, and tracking progress towards those goals. And we're probably going to spend most of our time on that. We'll also talk about analyzing past opportunities to identify trends and ways you can see that. And then we'll take a look at where you can find some continuing education. Not the continuing education you might need for your license, but just continuing to grow and build your skills and become a better real estate agent and be able to serve your clients at a higher level, which in turn benefits you. All right, so let's dive in to the goals section. We're going to come over to this one. And just as an FYI, I meant to mention this at the very beginning, but the reason you're seeing me toggle between two different commands, I'm actually a new labs advisor, which means I have some early access to some things that are being tested, and we're not allowed for other people to see that. So I'm using the Pro Coach account because it's completely blank and it's a safe place for me to go in and demonstrate. But I'm toggling over to the opportunities just because there were some things that you needed to see a real working opportunity. You needed to see a real working DocuSign. And I was really careful beforehand to make sure that I wasn't showing you anything on screen that maybe is currently in development. So that's why I'm switching between the two. All right, so let's go over to our goals, which is our under reports. It's the little graph here. And let's click on goals. Oh, look, I have not set my goals for 2024. This is my demo account. So we're going to go in and we're going to set our goals. Before we jump into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what this is going to look like. So you should all now see the economic model. Give me a thumbs up, Cindy, if you see it.
I see it.
Perfect. Okay. So inside of the MREA, which I'm sure you've heard all about the MREA by now. And if not, you need to go to your team leader and say, why haven't you told me about this amazing book? But inside of the MREA are a couple of models that have been fundamentally tested over and over and over again by all of us. And the models have been created by all of us and fine-tuned by all of us. And they really do work if you follow the models. So the lead generation model, it's actually, the economic model is actually a combination of economics and lead generation wrapped into one. And what it says is that if you want to net a specific amount of money, you start at the top by having a specific amount of listing appointments or buyer appointments. And then you have your conversion rate. And then you have your listings. So let's just quickly go down the list here. So let's say you have, and on this particular example, they're showing you need to have 308 listing appointments per year. Well, we know that not every listing appointment you're going to succeed at. So the starting point for any brand new agent is an 80% conversion. So out of 308 listing appointments, using an 80% conversion rate, you might get 247 signed listing agreements. Now, we know that as much as we want every listing to sell, sometimes they fall out, sometimes they expire, they just don't sell. So this one is a 65% conversion rate. I think that's a little bit low, but we're going to go with what the book says. So out of those 247 listings, we might actually only sell 160 of them. And if we look at our average sales price times that 160, we can now see what our sales volume is going to be. Less our average commission that we hope we might get gives you your GCI goal. And from your GCI goal, you then take out your cost of doing business or your cost of sales. And that's going to leave you with your net income. Does that kind of make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me get this out of the way, and I'm going to show you real world how this looks. And Cindy, since you're off mute, I'm going to use you as the example. So I'm going to ask you for some information.
Okay.
Cindy, how much would you like to make? Let's pretend this is the beginning of the year and not halfway through the year. How much would you like to make for 2024?
Hmm, let's say 50.
50,000?
Yeah.
Okay. And since you're brand new in the business, you might not know what your expenses are, but let's just say your business expense is going to be ten 10,000 is your business expense, and your cost of doing sales. Let's say your cost of doing sales is $30,000. Those are actually going to be really low. So what do you think your expenses might be? What might make up your expenses?
The fees to the brokerage. Be along that line. Cost of sales is gonna be like gas, stamps, or is that gonna be under expenses?
So cost of sales is anything that you have to spend for that listing or that buyer. So on
Okay,
the
so
listing
under
side,
expenses would be like stamps, any stationery,
office supplies.
advertising, office supplies, advertising.
Advertising would actually fall under cost of sales typically.
Okay,
So your expenses could be things like your office supplies, if you're renting an office, your yearly board dues, your continuing education dues, travel if you're going to go to family reunion or anything like that. And then
So-
your cost of sales is more based on what it costs you to gain and complete that transaction. So your lead generation, things like that.
so expenses are what it's gonna be to run it. Cost of sales is what it's gonna cost to see the sale through or to,
To gain the
right,
right to gain the client and see it all the way through to the end.
okay.
And this will make more sense when you actually dive into the models. All right. So now a photographer would be cost of sale. Yeah. All right. Listing. So your business makeup. Are you going, Cindy, do you want to be just a buyer's agent, just a listing agent, a little bit of both?
Little
Where
bit
do
of
you
both.
think a little bit of both? All right. So let's say 50-50 and none on leases. And your average commission per unit. So the way you determine this is, what's the average price point that you're going to be working at?
Between 3 and 5.
300 and 500?
Yeah,
Okay. I like to be conservative, so let's split that down the middle and say 400.
okay.
Right? And what is the value that you put out that you are going to earn a commission on? Where do you think you're going to fall on average? It's hard to talk about.
I got no clue.
It's a little hard to talk about this section because of the current litigation that's going on.
Mhm.
But what you want to do is look at your average price point, and then so your average price point is going to be 400,000. If you're a brand new agent, you might end up getting on average, because we all know that the commissions are 100% negotiable. They're always negotiable, but you might average out ending up getting, let's say 2% for as a
Okay.
brand new agent. So out of that 400,000, that means your average commission might be 8,000. Okay, does that all make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to click continue. And now we're going to see those conversion rates come in. And this is based off of the initial average. So when you're a brand new agent, I recommend use the recommended rates. After your first year is ended, when you're setting up your business model for the next year, you're going to do an analysis on the past year of your transactions, your lead generation, how many of those leads actually got to close, where they dropped out in the process, and you'll be able to fine tune these numbers. And it's really important to do that because you want to be able to predict your business growth. If you have a goal, say this year you want to earn 50,000, but next year you say, you know what, I'm doing good. I want to double my goal. I want to earn 100,000. You need to know how many leads is it going to take to get there.
Okay.
And if you're not on an annual basis updating your conversion rates, you might not be accurately predicting where you are going to fall.
Okay.
But for a brand new agent, use the recommended. You're going to scroll down. I'm not going to make any changes. I'm going to click continue. So now it's going to give me my breakdown. My annual estimated GCI is going to be 54,000. I wanted to earn 50. I estimate my cost of sales is 3,000 and my operating expenses is 1,000. All of these numbers look good so far. So I'm going to hit set goals. And here's the magic.
I've got nothing.
I don't know what's going on tonight, but Command has not been liking me. Did they not set the plus in there? Continue.
Mhm.
It's all good. Continue. It's all good. Set goals. Oh no, it's not working. All right, so I'm gonna switch over to mine. Hopefully, I'm not going to show you anything that I'm not supposed to show you. Go down to goals.
Tell me when and I'll close my eyes.
All right, so here we're looking at my goals. So let me go in and take a look at my actual goals here. For 2024, my goal was to earn 100,000. My business expense is 60,000. My cost of sales is 20,000. So now, and I try to do about a 50-50 on my business makeup. And with our price point here in the Phoenix metro area and where my value falls, on average, I try to earn about 10,000 per transaction. I'm sticking with the actual conversion, the recommended conversion rates, just because, as I mentioned earlier, I am an experienced agent. I have been doing business for quite a number of years, but I spent the last year or two completely out of production and focused on leadership and my staff role. So I'm going to kind of give myself a little bit of grace, and I'm going to use the default just like everybody else tonight. Okay. So those were the goals that I set. And what Command came back and told me is that in order for me to reach my goal, I need to have 22,756 new leads this year. I need to have a total of 1,138 contacts. I need to have 56 appointments set. Out of those 56 appointments, I need to earn 42 of them. Or I need to actually keep 42 of them. Out of those 42, I need to actually earn the business and get 32 of them. Hopefully, I'm going to get 24 of them under contract and actually get to 18 closed. If I do all of that, theoretically, I should hit my business goal of netting 100,000 this year. Now, Command will follow along and show me where I'm at in those goals. Well, I have about 1% of the contacts needed. So I'm way behind on my contacts. I'm way behind on my leads because I just got back into production. So give me a little grace there, please. I've had a couple of, what's that?
Is it a little bit?
Just a little bit. All right. Thank you. So I've had a couple of appointments. I kept 100% of my appointments, so that was good. I earned the agreements that all of the buyer or listing agreements that I went on. And I've gotten a couple of things under contract, but not enough. So I really encourage you, take the time, set your goals. It's going to keep you on track, or help to keep you on track, so that way you do hit your financial goals throughout the year. Any questions on the economic model or setting your goals inside of Command? All right. So now we talked about, in this section that we just went over, we talked about the conversion rates. And for the first year, you're going to use the recommended conversion rates. But at the end of the year, when you're beginning to set up your business plan for the next year, how do you find those updated conversion rates? That can be a little bit tricky. So what you can do is go into reports and go to your opportunities, select your year to date, and it's going to show you from each stage or each phase how much time they spent, how long they were in there. So on average, I had 13 days of people sat in the active stage for 13 days. I can see my buyer. So it splits it out between listing and buyer. There's nothing in here because I haven't had any transactions. You can also check month to date or look last month. You can also go to your goals report, and it's going to show you where you're at percentage-wise to meeting your goals. And it should start calculating your conversion rate. Any questions on this portion?
No, it kind of does the work for you.
It kind of does. I still like to do kind of a manual hard calculation just because this is a little bit newer of a feature. So I like to make sure that it's actually updating my conversion rates. But I also want to show you another way to track your opportunities. So let's go back over to the other one. I'm going to go come over here to opportunities. And I like to use opportunity tags. So under key information, you have the ability, just like in your contacts, you can have tags, right? You can
Mhm.
also create tags for your opportunities. So for me, some of my tags that I've used in the past, yeah. Oh, all right. Some of the tags that I've used, for example, I do a Phoenix, the Phoenix metro area is huge. So I've got, and I work mostly in the East Valley. So I've got a tag for East Valley buyer. Um, I also need to make one for East, I've got one for East Valley seller, rejected offer. If it came from a Facebook ad, Arizona City is another area that I sometimes work. I have a tag for if it was a manufactured home, if it was a referral, if it was a canceled contract or a canceled listing.
Okay.
So adding those tags in can be helpful because what you can then do to get a little more clarity on your listings or on your opportunities, you can come over here to all opportunities, and then you can use filters and you can search. So maybe you want to search by, let's see, date created. I'm going to say January. And I want to see how many transactions canceled. Oh, did not return any results. So let's see. Do I have any that was an East Valley seller? I should have at least one. All right, so in this year, I've had one East Valley seller. Let's go back. Let's try something else. All right, so I'm not going to use any date range. How many opportunities? Let's go back over to tags. How many of my opportunities were rejected?
None.
That's, oh, because that rejected one was at a different, I was at a different market center then. Active, lost. Active, lost, and right. Go. Rejected, now I should see something. Oh, look at all the offers that all the opportunities that I've had. They were all buyers because it rejected offers. It's going to be applicable to the buyer side. I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over the course of my career so far. Not too bad. But that's another great way to keep track of your opportunities is by using those tags and kind of flesh that out and on how you want to what might be important for you to track. And then go in and create those tags. And creating the tags is super, super simple. So let's go in. I'm just going to pull up one of these old ones in here. So let's say I needed a new tag. Maybe they weren't an East Valley buyer. Maybe they were a West Phoenix buyer. Well, it doesn't exist, but it gives me the option to create it.
Oh,
And
okay.
boom, I just created my tag. So creating custom tags inside of Command, super easy. And now that I've created that tag, when I save this, that tag will now be available forever in my database, unless I go in and delete the tag from settings side. So any questions on tracking your progress or tracking your accuracy through your transactions, following up, anything along that nature?
No, that was all pretty explanatory.
Awesome. All right. So now we're coming up towards the end. So now I want to take a look at where can you find some additional learning. You can come over here to right next to Command, you'll see Connect.
Mm-hmm.
You can browse, or you can go to the Learning Home, or you can browse all. So I'm going to browse all. And then let's say I'm going to do the most viewed. Let's start there. So there's KWU courses, there's self-study. So these are classes that you can take from home. These are classroom taught, so you would need an instructor for these. Lead generation, most of these should be ones that you can go into. So let's click on client referrals because we were talking about getting your client referrals. All right, so this is an on-demand learning. So you've got a couple of options. So your client referral business or Tammy Junks, turning relationships into referrals. Let's say I wanted to make sure that I take that training and I'm going to take this training. So now I'm going to go back. I'm browsing all again. Let's say, what else do we want to look at?
Oh,
Still
there they are.
referrals. Pardon?
Oh, I was like, oh, there they are.
Oh. All kinds of contents. And a lot of this is going to be available for you to do at your own pace from your computer, no classroom required. Some of them are going to be classroom. But you can come in here and just find those classes. Let's go back to browse all. We talked about lead generation. If you're wanting to stay up to date with what's going on in the market, obviously you're going to want area specific reports. Here in Arizona or here in the Phoenix metro area, we have something called the Cromford report. I don't know if it's available in other areas, but it is a really detailed analysis month by month of what everything is happening in the real estate industry in the Phoenix metro area. But there's all kinds of information in here. Wealth building events on demand. So any of these you can take and at your own pace. So let's say you wanted to really focus on being a listing agent. You could take a look at this 12 weeks of listings. It's a 12-week class. And it's just videos that you're going to watch. So you could just go down. Is there a way to, looks like you have to add them all one at a time. So you've found some classes, right, that you might want to take. Then you go to up here at the top, you click on My Learning. And here are all of the classes you just signed up for. They're now on your dashboard. And you can click on them. Go into them and it takes you right into where you can start playing that video. There's so much available directly through Command. Alternatively, you can go to KW Connect and find the same content through KW Connect. Personally, I like coming in here. Oops. Because then it's all centralized in one place. Because again, Command is an entire platform. It's not just one system. So it's an all-in-one product. So it makes it nice that you can just go right into Command. Maybe you've done some work, you did some lead gen and you've got an hour to kill. You're done with the Command side, you jump over to Connect and you start taking one of your classes. All right. Now there's one other place that you can, there's another place that you can find some great information. Has anybody heard of our brand new friend called Quick?
No.
It stands for KWIQ. It is a new learning-based AI, and it's going to be in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. This little icon with 3 dots. It should show up on any page, I believe. No, just the dashboard. So it's on your dashboard pages. You can click in here and you can ask it a question. Now, have you, before I talk about this next part, has everybody heard about playbooks and what those are?
I've heard about them, but I don't know what exactly they are.
Awesome. So a playbook is usually, hopefully, a 1-page plan for a particular topic. So maybe the topic is throwing a great client event. There's a 1-page playbook for this basic steps to plan out running a client appreciation event. And we have you can go onto KW Connect and you can order the playbook master book. Let me see if I've got mine. Where's mine? So it's going to look something like this. And it has just an immense amount of playbooks for anything you might want to do. Let's see. Rachel's social media system. There it is. So it's a book full of 1-page plans of different things you can do to operate your business. Awesome. I love that. I love my book. I love my playbook. It's I think they're what, $20? They're well worth it. But you can also come in here and say, how can I throw a great customer appreciation event? Quick. Okay, let's see. How there we go.
Ah,
It's brand new, it's still learning. So I said, how do I run a client event? First one, set your objectives, plan the event, create the invitations, prepare the venue, organize the activities, provide refreshments. And the list, it just goes down the list. And all of the playbooks that have been created throughout KW Connect, every single one of them have been integrated with Quick, KWIQ. So that is another great place to learn especially really quickly, if you don't have time to stop and search through KW Connect for the material you're looking for, lean on this. There's so much that's been programmed into the AI already, and it's just going to learn and get better. All right, so we've got just a couple of minutes left. I would love to hear a couple of ahas. Well, first, before that, questions. What questions do you have that I've left unanswered, or maybe I said something that didn't make sense? Throw them at me. All right, we don't have any questions. So before we go into the ahas, I just kind of want to recap what we've gone over today. So we talked about creating a smart plan that you can use at the end of your closing to wrap things up, first of all, but also to make sure that you're setting yourself up to gain more business from that closing. And you can do that by making sure that you get asked for reviews, you ask for referrals, you add their birth date and their home anniversary into Command, into their contact card, and then you assign those 2 smart plans to them and set them up on a monthly neighborhood nurture. And maybe a couple of other smart plans to touch base with them on holidays, client appreciation events, the DTD2. All of those are great ways to take that transaction that you just closed and not only earn a client for life and get their next transaction in 5 to 7 years, but also earn referrals and establish yourself as a real estate professional. What's another way that you could accomplish the same thing in Command instead of using smart plans? There's something else I showed you.
I think checklist maybe, I'm not sure.
Yes, Brian, excellent, excellent. I like using the checklist inside of Command or inside of the opportunities. I actually lean on that a little bit more than a closing smart plan, because the one thing with the closing smart plan is you have to assign the smart plan to the client at the day of close. Or you can pre-schedule it and set the date to trigger on the estimated close date. Or you can accomplish most of the same things in your checklist, your opportunity checklist. Let's see, what else did we go over? We talked about DocuSign. Make sure that you keep your in the opportunities on the details tab, make sure that you set or keep information as up to date as soon as you get it, update it, sync it over to DocuSign. That will help. When you're first starting your transaction, remember to select your checklist type before you click that black button that says begin transaction. Because if your market center has set you up to preload forms, those forms will then preload for you automatically. Don't be afraid to organize your DocuSign. When you're working in a transaction, sometimes your transactions are going to be super simple and they're going to go smoothly, and you're going to have the minimum documents needed to get to close. And then other times you're going to have transactions that are just pull your hair out. You've done 7 addendums. You've had to do 3 cure notices. We have cure notices in Arizona. I don't know if you have cure notices where you're at. And all of a sudden you go into DocuSign and you've got like 5 bajillion documents and it's just a cluster mess. Don't be afraid to create those other folders, drag and drop those files, keep your DocuSign nice and organized. I guarantee a couple of years later, when you got to come back and look at that room for some reason, you're going to thank yourself for being so organized. We talked about utilizing the opportunity. Well, we recapped that. We talked about that. Awesome. We also went through the economic model that you find in the MREA and how to use that to set your goals inside of Command, and then also follow up and see how accurate you've been. What are your conversion rates at the end of the year? We also talked about some ways that you could track your opportunities using customized tags. And we went in and we talked about how to find additional learning through KW Connect or through inside of Command, just going to Connect and finding those courses there. So we've just got a couple minutes left. I would love to hear some ahas that you've had either today or in past classes. Tell me something that really blew your mind that you didn't know.
That in DocuSign, you could break down and put the paperwork in separate folders to keep it all organized, rather than just shove it all in there and then you got all these papers.
Exactly. I love being organized with my DocuSign. I swear it's not OCD or my ADHD, maybe.
Just a little bit.
But at the end of the day, once you've been in this business for more than a couple of years, you're conceivably going to have hundreds and hundreds of DocuSign rooms with hundreds of files. The more organized you set yourself up now, you're going to love that later. Nicole said that when you use a checklist, it will email your client when it's completed certain tasks. Yes, absolutely. Do you need to email them for every single task that you complete? No, depending on what the task is. If it was to make sure that you entered it in the MLS, they don't need to know that. But did you hang the lockbox? When is the photographer coming? When is the last day of the inspection period? When's the inspection period closing? Things like that are great ways to easily stay in touch with your clients. Any other ahas? I'd love to hear something from someone else. Yes.
Creating a timeline.
What's that?
Creating a timeline. It's some kind of way that kind of overlaps all of those dates for each transaction.
Absolutely. Then Shakita asked if I have a checklist that I could share. Yes and no. I have my checklist. I'm more than happy to share it. I haven't put it into a PDF, or at least the current version of it into a PDF. So I'll tell you what. There is my email. I just put it into chat. Shoot me an email and remind me that you would like a copy of my checklist. And within the next week, I will make time to transcribe all of my checklist into a PDF, and I'll email it back to you. I'm more than happy to share. That's one of the best things about Keller Williams, is that we have that spirit of collaboration and cooperation. All right.
So I have a question.
Oh, yes,
Speaking
Brian.
of checklists, so yesterday when we did the class, I think we met yesterday, we were going over checklists. So I started searching for in smart plans or in KW in Command or wherever about checklists. So I found one, and it shows like, you know, the walkthrough, trying to do out the data form for MLS listings. It kind of goes through a whole like a checklist of things to watch out for, but you can't download it. It shows your PDF, but you can't download it. Am I missing something there?
You're not missing anything. That's why it's a little bit harder. That particular part of command, there isn't an import or export function. So let me show you really quick how you're going to create those, just as a reminder. So you're going to come into opportunities, and you need to do this one pipeline at a time and one stage at a time. So these are all phases of your pipeline. So I'm going to click on cultivate, and then I'm going to click on stages and checklists. So these are your phases. These are your stage. So I'm going to click on stage. I'm going to go to the watch. I'm going to go to the checklist. And now I can click to add a task and I'm going to say, do the thing. Do the thing. If I need to put a hyperlink in there, I can set a priority level. And if I want it to be included in the email for the client, you just click there and click create. And then you add your next one. So unfortunately, there isn't a way to export or import the list. You do have to manually create it. And you do have to go one phase at a time. So right now I'm in the cultivate phase, and I'm working on the stages inside of there. So now I'm going to go back to my listings, and I'm going to go to appointments. I'm going to click it again. Now I'm editing all of the phases for my appointments stage. I'm sorry, all my stages from my appointment phase. I always switch those two around, phase and stage. They sound so similar, I always confuse them. Just know you have to do one section at a time. Does that make sense? All right. So again, don't forget to email me if you would like a copy of my checklist. Just give me a couple of days to get those transcribed. And then unfortunately, there's no easy way to import them into your own. You just have to manually type them out. And Brian, chances are you might actually have found the PDF that I initially used. And after a while, I realized that there was just way too much duplication. So I eliminated a lot of the duplicate steps and put them into more appropriate steps. But I'm going to get that all broken out for you and send those out to you if you email me. All right, so we are 3 minutes over. Any last questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right. Well, it sounds like we are good. Did you start to say something, Cindy?
It's a lot of information.
Yes, it is. It is a lot. And I'll tell you, having been in this business for just a couple of years, you've gone through, you've learned everything there is to learn in Ignite. Take it again. And then take it again.
We're going to do it in September. You guys are doing it in September, and I was going to.
Awesome.
Because I'm sure I've missed a whole bunch of it.
I tell you, every time I've taken a class, whether I've taken it once or twice or 3 times, I almost always pick up some new nugget, remind myself of something I've forgotten, or I get inspired with a new idea of how to run my business or a new trajectory I might want to go down or a new path I might want to go down. Yeah. So never stop learning. That is the best way to be successful and have a long career in real estate, is to never stop learning.
Yeah, and I'm one that I have to do it to get it. You know, it's not, I'm more where I have to do it to remember it and figure it out. No.
And then I do have one favor to ask. You should all see a QR code on your screen. If you wouldn't mind taking just a couple of seconds to scan the code and send in an evaluation on me. I am beginning the pathway to become a KWU approved instructor. I would love to get some feedback. So what it's going to ask you when you scan that code, it's going to take you to a survey. It will ask you for your region. It will then ask you for the name of the class. And I don't believe the class is in there. So you'll scroll all the way down to the bottom You'll select that the class wasn't listed. It'll give you a blank to fill in, Ignite After Dark, and then it'll take you to the instructors. I'm not in the list because I'm not yet an approved instructor. So you'll scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll select instructor not in the list and you'll type in my name. And again, it's Shane Blissett. And then give me honest feedback. I know I'm not perfect. I know I still got some growing and learning to do. So I appreciate honesty
What is the
and
name
not
of
just a
the
fight.
class?
What's that?
What is the name of this class?
I think it was Ignite After Dark.
Yeah, but I mean, your class.
Oh, it was Closing and Growth Strategies.
Okay. Okay.
So I will leave this Zoom open for just a couple more minutes to give you anyone that's taking the survey an opportunity to get that completed. Feel free to drop off when you're done, or if you don't feel like doing the survey, I'm not going to be offended at all. And otherwise, I hope everybody has a incredible beginning of your career. You've got my email. If you ever have questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always here to help, even if you're not in my market center or my region. Like I said, the best part about Keller Williams is that we have that spirit of cooperation and collaboration. We all rise together.
Thank you very much. This was a good class.
Oh, my pleasure. And I'm glad you got something out of it. And I look forward to maybe one day having you in class again.
Oh yeah, I'll be back.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. Thank you so much and go enjoy the rest of your evening.
Good night.
Good night.